Hi, everyone. My name is Daphne Thompson, and I help local governments implement practical AI in a safe environment. And today, I have the utmost pleasure to speak to Dawn Low about leadership and the next generation of leaders with AI in mind. Hey, Dawn, welcome.
Hi, Daphne. Pleasure to be here.
So, you tell us just a little bit about your background and how you got to the local government field.
Sure. Okay. So about 2 years ago, I actually retired from a 26-year career in local government. I started my career as a financial assistant and moved my way through the system up to CAO. And I was the CAO, Chief Administrative Officer, for two different municipalities. And that's where I retired. So 2 years ago. So about a year and a half ago, I started my own business, Dawn Low Municipal Consulting, and it is a coaching, mentorship, subject matter expert business where I help local governments, leaders or aspiring leaders transition into leadership positions and accomplish programs. So I'm hired for sometimes just an actual project that they're working on, or I work individually with staff that are moving into leadership positions.
So I love the word that you use, the transition, because that's kind of the area that we are in right now. The whole AI thing is a full-on transition, is change management. And with the federal AI strategy that just came out in February, or in March, sorry. Anyway, it was saying that currently there's only about 12% of businesses and organizations that have adopted AI, and the federal government strategy is all about AI for all, and they want adoption by 60% in 2034. So we don't have a lot of time, but leadership is the key aspect to this, maybe top down, to show them what is the way. So how would you think you can help, or what are some of the challenges that some of our leaders would face in this new AI generation?
Well, I think, let's face it, reality is that people are pretty scared of AI right now because there's just an overwhelming amount of information out there. Use this, use that, try this, try that. There's a lot of FOMO, missing out. So I think that in leadership, we need to obviously take a step back and look at the big picture. And I think it's really important to ensure that leaders educate themselves first on AI, and it is the responsibility of a leader to ensure that staff understand what AI can do, that are trained on it, and how can it help them better with their jobs. It's a tool. It's not an answer to everything, but it's a tool to help people excel at their jobs, or at the very least find time to do things that are maybe more meaningful to them. And I think that a leader really needs to step in and discover where that's going to work best for their team.
What would you think is the best way to do that? I love what you said, that they need to be trained first. I'm all for that. Get to know what it is, understand the capabilities, 100%.
Yeah.
But there's still that, like you said, that fear of AI, and of course, will AI take my job? But how do you think leaders should approach this in a practical way after they got to know what it is and all the capabilities, because it's just something new? But from a leadership perspective, how should they lead their teams in this transition, or even in themselves?
Well, I think once you're trained and you understand what's going to work best for your organization or for a specific project, I mean, there's a few different kinds of AI that you can use. So really understanding what it is your organization needs, then actually using it and implementing it, and involving your staff in like a collaborative decision-making process to come to an agreement as to where it's going to work best for everyone. So I think that if you involve everybody in the conversation and you listen to people's opinions, and you can help displace some of the fear and really empower your staff, that you're going to get a lot further than if you just say, do this, do that. This is what is the latest, greatest, and that sort of thing doesn't really get you very far. It might for a little while, but really involving the team in evaluating and understanding what works best for the organization.
So when we spoke offline, you mentioned something that I really want our audience to know about is when you work with a potential new leader or in this transition period, that they really get to know themselves a lot better through that. And that makes the leader that they are. So how do you think in this AI generation, do they still find their core and not just go, oh, but AI said this and AI said that?
I see what you're getting at. Yeah. Okay. So for sure, one of the biggest coaching methods that I use is definitely teaching people emotional intelligence, which is getting to understand yourself, really understanding what your triggers are, understanding what your limiting beliefs are, understanding how to unpack that, and really getting to know who you are. Because when you are a leader and you are leading a group of people, they do have certain expectations of you. A lot of the clients that I'm working with right now have just found themselves in these positions. So in local government, there's a lot of retirements happening. There's a lot of, it's very expensive to go out to a hiring process. And it's actually quite smart to use somebody from your organization that has the history and the understanding. And so there's a lot of succession, but it's really quick. And so what I found in leadership is it's not really so much that people aren't qualified, they're not ready. So really teaching people how to look at themselves as leaders and to have that perception of being a leader and not I don't want to say just, not a worker that's looking for direction. You are the one that's guiding and giving the direction. So a lot of it's perception, and perception does definitely come from understanding who you are and how you react, and having the confidence to make hard decisions, and to also take into consideration everybody else that's in your team. You have to take into consideration their values and their opinions, and you can't do that if you don't know who you are. And so therefore, leading into the AI aspect of it, with AI, I think it's a brilliant tool to be able to use as a reflection tool, as a preparation tool. I mean, for me, it's brilliant that way. But you still need the people to edit. You still need the people that have the experience, that have the consciousness, that understand their community, because each community is unique. AI is not going to be able to have that uniqueness. So you still need the people. So if people understand that AI is just a tool and it's the people that are using it, it might help take away a little bit of the fear.
So
my answer.
I love it. So my journey was very different. I mean, when I stepped into local government, we lost our CAO, we lost our CFO, we lost our corporate officer, we lost all the clerks that was there, all in a question of 6 weeks. And I basically relied on AI to teach me how to do my job.
Yeah.
And so AI was wonderful in that, but I also do come from a digital transformation background. So I had that type of a little bit background to fall back on to understand it. Now, in our more northern communities, a lot of the new CAOs maybe find themselves in, this is their brand new position. They don't have a lot of support in that. So AI would be, like it was for me, a massive tool for that. Where will you come in helping those leaders guide their development journey by knowing that AI is probably going to be there and they're going to ask all these questions to AI, but like AI doesn't have memory, it doesn't have emotional intuition, it doesn't have context. So what would you say to those leaders, and how would you be able to help them in that?
Well, going to throw in a little toot for myself here, but it's really about having, so AI, like I said, is a brilliant tool for reflection, for sometimes asking questions that you wouldn't want to ask in front of a lot of other people because you think maybe it's silly. It's a good way to build up a base. But the one-on-one, like you said, AI doesn't have memory. AI doesn't have taste. It doesn't have, it doesn't, you know, there's a lot of things that people are talking about right now, what AI doesn't have. But I think if we focus more on what the one-on-one, what a human can offer, a human can offer the emotional support that is sometimes not always easy to hear. So that's another thing I wanted to put in is sometimes, you know, in my use in AI, gosh, it makes me feel great about myself because it's always like, great question, Dawn. Like you know, you're going down the right path and you feel really good. And although coaching is a lot of cheerleading, there is the most important part of coaching to me, which is, have you thought of this? I can see by the way you're reacting, you know, because it's, if you're with the person one-on-one, whether it's on a Teams meeting or it is in person, you can see people's body language, you can feel energy, and you can help guide someone through that sort of situation.
But it's not just that. It's because you've lived it, you've been there, you have the experience to draw from. And usually so AI technically has all the experience in the world, but it's not honed in. It's not strategic. So even when you can ask AI the same questions, unless you prompt it in a specific way, it wouldn't give you the answers like you're saying. Where, like you said, the human is still there to guide you through this leadership transition by the experience that they've had and the intuition, or like you said, that human touch.
Experience is huge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, you get a lot of younger people coming out of university and they're banging out the work, and you know what, a lot of it's really, really good, and that's great, but they're lacking that ability to understand the history and what actually could happen because they don't have the experience. So you need those mentors, and you need people that have been through it that can say, I see exactly where you're going, I see it, and I think it's great. However, have you thought of? And in my experience, this is what happened when you do that. I mean, logically, that sounds great, but have you thought of, you know, for instance, if a politician views something completely differently, they can change the trajectory of a project. You know, I've had politicians, you know, change projects or stall them because of something that they thought. And AI is not going to be able to warn you or guide you through something like that.
So that was actually my next section. Is I've been in so many different council meetings where council will go, oh, but Claude said this and ChatGPT said that. And my response is always, yeah, that's great. But what did your human say? The human with the experience and the context and the things. So have you found that with your leadership development that people also start relying on these type of AIs too much?
Well, no, you know what? I haven't found that yet. I can see,
brilliant.
I can see how that is going to happen, but I haven't actually experienced it. I've experienced some of my leaders that I'm coaching. They've experienced little pieces of it, but it's quite subtle still. And it's mostly, you know, yeah, people that don't want to listen to what could possibly happen or experience. They're just bulldozing. And I mean, that's going to happen no matter what. But no, I haven't had a lot of the leaders that I'm working with right now. Mostly the people that I'm working with right now are seeing it as a tool. And so that's why I think that, you know, the implementation of AI is going to be, it's going to be something that we're all going to be using. It's not going away. It's like the internet, but it's going to be an individual use. People are going to use it the way they probably operate mostly in life. So you have to watch for that, right? So, but mostly, no, I mean, when I look at it and I reflect on it, I think, wow, a person could start to use AI to the point where they lose themselves and they forget their own voice. And I think that that could be very, very dangerous.
I'm just always so scared that, because I know people do that, but it's specifically for that um, fear of maybe trying to fear of looking stupid or saying something that's going to make them not look as presentable or whatever. But when people start speaking their problems into AI, and using it as either a coach or as a mentor or a emotional relief, the issue with that is, should there be a data leak somewhere in the world, which has happened, we are now in a situation where we prep for it to happen, not the if. So when that happens, now that data becomes available on the dark web or for hackers or whatever, and all your vulnerabilities are being exposed. So now it's so easy for any kind of scammer to hone in on you because they know where your vulnerabilities are. You have been so open to the machine, where when it is with a human in a professional capacity, like a leadership coach like you, that can be honed in and a lot more protected. What would you say for anything like that? Or has your leadership positions ever actually thought about those type of things?
No, I haven't had the experience where anybody's experienced it or is even talking about it. I have studied it and I listen to podcasts and whatnot where people are definitely concerned about the data leaks and the ability for someone to understand and collect data that's that vulnerable. Yes, and I know it is a concern out there, and that's where I think when we talk about the security of AI, that is where I think the government and the federal government needs to really step in. And their strategy is, it's pretty high level, right? It's about implementation, it's about, and their securities, they talk about it, but they don't really say exactly what they would do. And I think that that is something that the federal government's really going to have to focus on a lot, is protecting people's privacy.
And don't even forget that they put the onus on the users now, no longer the vendors, as if we're the experts or everyone is the expert in that.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, that does give you that responsibility to, okay, maybe I don't want to put everything online. Maybe I don't want AI to have access to my deepest, darkest feelings. But the trusting, yeah, I mean, trust is something that's built over time, right? So in a human to human relationship, that the trust takes time to build, and you have to nurture it, right? Because you don't want to destroy it. So there's an effort there. And so I think that anything that requires an effort, it's like working out at the gym, right? You don't get your muscles and you don't get strong unless you keep going back and keep doing that. So you don't want that to be taken away from you, from AI, when it comes to your own opinions and your own solution finding. Absolutely.
Oh, you are preaching to the choir here. Yes. Critical thinking skills. But that leads me into like the next section, where I strongly believe the more AI evolves, the more our critical thinking skills would be needed. And I just had a conversation with Faith Wood and Brain Health, which spoke about that more in depth. But from a leadership position or from a leadership perspective, what would be the next skill that would be in this AI era super important, except for critical thinking? What other skills do you think they should really hone in on in this area?
Using the AI?
No, to lead people in this era.
Well, communication is the first thing that pops into my mind. Communicating to people what it is that's acceptable, communicating in the way even that you prompt AI, right? So that is another educational piece, because AI is only going to give you what you ask for. It's like talking to a counselor, or, they only know what they know. So really honing in on being able to articulate what it is that you're looking for if you're going to be using AI, I think is really important, and teaching that as a skill to staff. So clarification, communication, critical thinking. What am I missing? Am I missing something there?
Mm. So if you're working now with our next CAO, what is the skill that you
Oh,
would really want them to focus on that AI would never take?
yeah. So that's relationship building. That's what pops into my mind, like keeping those networks strong and supporting each other one-on-one and really being there for each other. And you know what, how I see it is AI actually can give you the time to do that. Because right now I feel like that the expectation on local government workers is so much. There's
Mm,
so much expectation. And you know, you're running through life with your hair straight back. So if there are ways that a leader can help staff find a way to have more time, which is what I see AI as doing. It's taking, you know, 3 hours worth of work and doing it in half an hour. Brilliant, especially if you know how to use it. Finding more time to build the networks, to train, to learn how to use it properly, but to have those relationships, because leaders can't lead a team that they don't know. I mean, you can have all the strategies and you can say, do this, do that, do that. And big business, I get, does that. You can't know everybody, but the best leaders I've ever met know their staff, understand what their needs are, and ensure that they feel safe, and so that they can operate in a way that's creative and innovative. Otherwise,
mm.
you know, the safety's got to be there. Yeah.
That actually leads me to a thought. So a lot of the bigger organizations are already starting to structure their business orgs, their organizational orgs, in where it is one human, like a director, within AI agents, and then one human, for example, that reports to them.
Yeah.
So the director is more responsible for agents than for humans. And I foresee local governments will get there. We're a little bit slower in that regard, but we will get there. So in that instance, I believe the human relationship will be so much more
Oh yeah,
important.
sovereignty and agency
Yeah.
can be huge. Like those, yeah, being able to represent yourself and find your niche, and what can you do different than anything else. As much as things are becoming more the same, the way that you're going to stand out is to be different and to be introducing variables, and AI can't do that either, right?
No,
So it only does what it's told right now. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but for now, for being a leader, really, yeah, the human interaction is becoming more and more valuable.
so how would you prepare our next leadership with this in mind?
Well, again, getting to know who you are. Some of the questions I ask people is, ask the people that are the closest to you, the people that you really adore, that you have a relationship with, what it is they see in you, because self-reflection is a really big part of leadership as well. So ask them why they remain your friend, what made you be their friend, and why they remain your friend. And these are things that you just can keep reminding yourself about, that are your characteristics and your values that people are attracted to. And understanding who you are is huge, and not going against who you are is even bigger. So those
I
types of,
love that.
yeah, you know, we're all born with certain gifts, right? So
Mm.
understand what those gifts are, and not being too hard on ourselves, giving ourselves grace, and to be continual learners. Being a continual learner, you don't know it all. The more you know, the less you know. The older you get,
That's true.
it just keeps going deeper and deeper, right? So you can
So
always,
true. But like this kind of made me thought of, when the caricatures just came in and everyone was like asking AI to create a caricature of them with everything that they know about them.
yeah.
And you have like these pictures with all the different aspects of what you basically search for or what you ask it to do. So you basically now just asking your friends to give you a more in-depth caricature of yourself.
Right. Right. Like, and they can give you examples like, you phoned me when my mom wasn't feeling well, and I really
Yeah.
appreciated that you cared, and that's a really good quality of yours. And just hearing those types of things are really good for people. Imposter syndrome, one of the tools I give people is write down your successes. What are your successes? What have you accomplished over the years? And really look at those and remember those when you start to doubt yourself. because nobody's born with all the answers. And the people that walk around acting like they have all the answers are not leaders, because you have to have an open mind and you have to be able to pivot and shift and change and maneuver, or you're going to get yourself into trouble. So really, it keeps coming back, and I sound like a broken record, but it keeps coming back to knowing who you are, and a coach or a mentor can help reflect that back to you in a way, like I said, that's not necessarily compliments only, you know.
No, I'm a massive believer in investing in coaches. You don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. You don't have to go through it. Like AI is making our work so much faster and more efficient. So does a coach.
Yeah.
And especially in leadership positions where they have been there and they've led the teams and they know the environment and they kind of know what the pitfalls are that's going to come, where AI probably don't.
No, exactly. And even the subject matter expert part of it, what I've noticed is, yeah, sure, you could type in, what does the community charter say about and get your answer in a governance structure. But how does that give you the ability or the broader vision of someone saying, yeah, but have you thought about, okay, that's fine, you're going to do this. And okay, so you only have to have a public hearing, this, and this, and that public hearing has to be held this many days and be in the newspaper, blah, blah, blah. That's your legislation. But what about if you have a community that's very, very involved? And, you know, should council be having more than just a public hearing for community engagement? Should they be having a workshop? Should they be sitting down and doing information meetings with their constituents before they make decisions, so that they make the right decision? Because, you know, it can look like the right decision 100%. We should do this, and this because that's what's going to be good for the future. Blah, blah. But if you don't have the backing of the constituents while the project is happening, or you don't have them, at least the majority of them helping that along, those loud people that are by them, that can sit behind a computer and really wreak havoc, can totally delay and destroy projects. So where I was going with that, I went sideways, but what I was doing with that was, you're not going to get that from an AI answer. That's experience. That's someone that's been there, done that, watched a beautiful development get flushed down the toilet. All kinds of different things that happen in local government because of human emotion and all of the different situations that work into why people believe in or support things or don't support things. Yeah.
You know, I'm an absolute AI geek. I love it. I absolutely love geeking out on it. I get excited about the new freaking cool tools that it has and all the new capabilities. And I was like, yes, I can do this new thing.
I know. And I love that you bring that, because I think that in local government, it's just such a, you should. And there's really nobody saying, well, this is how it can help you with a report to city council. Bam. Like, we just need that nice, direct, clean education. And I love that you bring that. And I watch you get people excited in the conferences, and everybody wants to know that sort of thing. And you know, knowledge is power, right? So it's a great tool to bring. I completely agree. Use AI, love AI. I think it's, like I said, it's not going anywhere. But we just need to help leaders, because it's always going to come from the top down.
Exactly.
To understand that it's not, first of all, it's not shameful to use it.
No.
It's not cutting.
It's not your secret, little dirty secret that you have to hide away. No.
Exactly. It's not cutting corners, because you should always have a human editing it. So there's a great job. Editors are going to be killing it. And so, and you should always have that human experience and that human opinion.
In the loop.
Yeah. So people shouldn't be too afraid of it unless you get sucked in too hard with it and it becomes who you are. I think that's a fear. But there's so many fears. I mean, so many fears.
Yeah, but that can actually, I love that you brought that up, because if you don't apply a critical thinking or even have boundaries, and this can happen in anything, not just AI, in anything, But then, yeah, you can lose yourself and start losing your own thoughts and your own critical thinking and just listening to the voice in your head, which will become the machine.
Yes.
That is a
big concern. Absolutely. And you and I talked a little bit about like the fake, what do they call it?
The deep fakes.
Deepfakes, yeah. And so that's another place where I think the federal government should actually have to kick in, is when all these different mechanisms are being used to do a deep fake when it comes to videos or faces and bodies, and that should be identified. Or, I mean, you can educate yourself right now as to spot a deep fake, but really smart people have been fooled. So don't kid yourself, right? So don't kid yourself. But at the same time, if there was regulation or security on things like that. So if you want to watch it, great, that's fine. But know that it's not real. There should be an identificate, like a stamp or I don't know.
Yeah, well,
watermarks across all their own photos, right? So that they know it's real. Or
there are actually now various technologies that do implement the type of watermark, but in the pixels. So you can't see it, but it is traceable in everywhere.
There you go.
Dawn, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and geeking out on leadership and AI. I absolutely loved it. How can people get hold of you?
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn, so Dawn Low, and then I also have a little bit of a LinkedIn presence off of that page for my business that has my testimonials, people that I've worked with and clients that I've worked with. It's been such a great journey going from local government into coaching, and I got there through coaching because I was like, okay, I'm not done. I want to give back. How can I do that? And my coach helped me realize that I would probably be a good coach. So, you back to school you go and you learn how to be a coach. And it's been very aligned with who I am. And I love watching people go from being unsure and scared to confident and strong and believing in themselves. And all I do is have the pleasure of shining a light on their actual skills and their gifts. What I call them. So like what a privilege I have to.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That really is amazing. So thank you so much. This is a last thought. What do you want to leave our leadership with today?
I think the biggest thing for me is, so being a CAO, I know that it's very, very hard to reach out to people for help. And I know that you want to be able to do it all on your own and appear that you've got this, I've got this. But the best thing I ever did for myself was get a coach and be able to open up to a coach in a way that helped me have different perspectives. So I actually became a better leader because I wasn't just hair straight back trying to prove myself. I was actually learning about leadership skills and how, like, I hate saying that word, leadership skills, how to be more compassionate. I learned how to have more empathy, and I learned that you cannot do it alone. So if, I know that being a CEO makes it seem like you have to have it all together, but you can have it all together to your staff and still build your support system off onto the side in a private, confidential, successful way. So,
I love it. Yes. Well, thank you so much. It was great chatting to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Daphne. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and your journey, and I wish you all the best as well, because what you're doing is, it's cutting edge. You're cutting down the weeds for all of us, and I think that that's such a great thing to bring to local government.
Thank you. Well, I love geeking out, and I would geek out even more with you today, but we run out of time. So thank you so much. And our audience, if there's anything else that you would like to listen about or talk about, please do leave a comment below and reach out to Dawn for all your leadership skills development. And your next leadership succession is a massive thing right now. It is needed. Dawn can help you get there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Daphne. Take care.